All right, it is 9:40 here in Arizona. I have been fasting for a little over 3.5 hours now. It's a dry fast, and I'm definitely going to do it for Yom Kippur, but I may think about continuing to dry fast if I find after 24 hours I really like it. And I will think about the concept of fasting until death. I have thought about that on numerous occasions. Usually not a dry fast though, and so it goes on a little bit longer than I. The problem with fasting to death is that every time I get despondent and want to fast to death, by the time I fast 24, 48 hours, I start feeling good again and lightweight, and the thought of wanting to die completely disappears. And so that's why I haven't successfully fasted to death yet. But a dry fast could change the dynamics of that because it goes a lot quicker. So I'll think about it. I'll reevaluate 24 hours from now if I want to go that way. I've been buying a lot of bismuth lately because I did a little calculation. Take the supply of each metal that's mined each year and multiply it by the price. All of the bismuth that is mined in 1 year is worth like $70 million. Now, all the gold mined in 1 year is a few hundred billion. 70 million versus what, 200 billion? I think it's a similar deal with platinum and similar deal with copper and iron and aluminum and all the other metals. Bismuth is just out there. Silver is also kind of on the low side of things. So all the silver ever mined in 1 year is also not as low as bismuth. It's like 2 billion or 1 billion, something like that. Bismuth, $70 million. Like Joe Biden could buy all of the bismuth mined in 1 year. Elon Musk could buy all the bismuth ever mined, period, multiple times. Right? I talked about that in my last video. Bismuth is right now it's used mostly as a substitute for lead in ammunition. So if you expect the war in Ukraine to go on, although I don't think Ukraine cares all that much about the environment, they might continue to use lead or even depleted uranium. But in the United States, a lot of states are banning lead ammunition. Uh, it's used in electronics and various semiconductors. So the device you're watching this on probably has a good amount of bismuth. Not a good amount, but in a good fraction of the world's supply. Let's put it that way. And it's used obviously in jewelry and making crystals. And I think it has yet to see its full potential of being used in nuclear radioisotope thermal generators. So bismuth plus a neutron makes polonium 210, which is a nuclear battery basically. Uh, much cheaper than getting polonium 210 from rocks off of the beaches in Poland, which is where it was discovered. Right. It's also used in nuclear accelerators to make transuranic elements. Right now, we're working on finding element number 119. I think that there might be more stable isotopes beyond uranium, by the way. I did a neural network one time to see, calculate this, estimate the stability of hypothetical radioactive elements based on what we know about the half lives of the existing elements, right? And I did a calculation, and it showed the potential of two or three or four elements that had stable isotopes. I'm hoping one of the atoms that is directly below gold or platinum in the periodic table. I'd love to have a heavy version of gold. I'd love to see what that would look like. It's not the one directly below gold. We already discovered that one, but the one two below gold has a potential of being stable. I would love to have a sample of that. Might cost a fortune though, right? That's why I'm buying bismuth, so that one day I could just put it into my particle accelerator and make it by myself, right? Um, and so I hope to buy at least 1 or 2 tons of bismuth by the end of this year. I already have 100 pounds or so. I hope to turn it into all sorts of jewelry. It comes in a big bar, a big flaky bar. Part of the reason I've been turning it into jewelry, well, two reasons actually. One, the bar is really flaky. Every time you move it, you seem to lose some of the bismuth, right? This will never fall apart, right? And number two, in case Joe Biden wants to confiscate my bismuth because they need it for nuclear weapons, well, FDR had an exemption for jewelry, right? So, oh my God, all my bismuth is tied up in jewelry. I got 10 tons of it at home, but sorry, you can't have any of it because it's all tied up in exempt jewelry, right? So, and so I have a furnace for. Well, you can melt it on your stovetop. The problem is that after a few cycles of remelting, a lot of the bismuth oxidizes, and it becomes bismuth oxide. And what you do is you put this in a furnace that's capable of melting. Melting point of bismuth oxide is 850 degrees Celsius, and you mix it with charcoal and burn it in the furnace for 10 minutes. The bismuth oxides react with the charcoal to make bismuth and carbon dioxide. But I would recommend doing this outdoors because it could make some carbon monoxide as well. But I got a question. Should I sell my silver and buy bismuth? I'd recommend having at least 1,000 ounces of silver. Beyond that, I'd recommend diversifying and buying all sorts of rare earth metals if you can. Bismuth and indium have the lowest market caps, if I remember my calculations correctly. And then there are a few other exotic ones. The rare earth metals, the ones that are in their separate row in their periodic table, they're actually not that rare. What they are is hard to separate from one another. So I'll let you decide on that. I personally prefer bismuth just because of the small market cap and the potential for nuclear reactors, right? In a future video, I might show how to set up a neutron capture to turn some of my jewelry into radioactive polonium-210. I love Mary Curry, and I love to continue her work on home brewing nuclear batteries. So I might try that at some point. I have some ideas on how to do that. Anyways, so I fast. We're getting up to 4 hours. This is a long one because it's dry, and I'm still thinking about how to sleep tonight. Now, one thing that I have going for me is that last year I also did a fast for Yom Kippur. And believe it or not, last year the hardest thing about it was not masturbating. I used to be a big addict, and when the hour finally ended, I was debating what to do first because obviously I was very thirsty. I wanted to masturbate. I wanted to take a shower, and I remember watching the clock tick down, and I got 20 minutes left, 15 minutes. What am I going to do first? It was like a mental confusion, if I remember correctly. I think the first thing I did was to drink a beer. Oh, I did it on camera, if I remember correctly. And by the time I finished the beer, the other stuff didn't seem so urgent anymore. It was weird. I think you guys may have remembered. Hey, Griswaldo. Anyways, feel free to give me a call. Let me put my phone number. Are you still burning hair? Yeah, well, not today. I'm not sure if stuff like that is allowed when you're fasting to purposely inhale stuff. But I'm gonna put my phone number on here. Let's see if we can get a guest on the phone. How's that no fap going? Very well. Well, today I have another reason to not fap, and I've gotten how many days under my belt? I forgot when that relapse was actually. I got to go back to I haven't been talking about no fap lately because I've had other things on my mind, including making bismuth jewelry and writing computer games and my new job. And actually, I got into a discussion with one of our clients today. My client thought that we're not supposed to work on Yom Kippur, and I told her that I'm not working because this is leisure activity for me, and she thought I was cheating. But you know what? I work at a tutoring center. The students need me more than me staying true on Yom Kippur. I still want to do the fasting because it really does enhance my life. Got your number on speed dial. Anyways, if anybody wants to call me so we can have a guest on the phone while we or I could also make some prank calls or not prank calls, but interesting calls. I'm gonna plug in my phone so it has a charge. Nice to see so many regular people here. Uh, Here's some more bismuth that I recently poured. Yay! I hope to have a ton of bismuth by the end of this year. Right now, I have about 100 pounds. Uh, but let me do a quick calculation for you guys in case you're curious about the market cap I was talking about. If you Google abundance of elements in the Earth's crust, Wikipedia has a page on it. Now go down to bismuth, which is element number 83, and we produce 10,200 tons of it every year. How much gold? How much gold do we produce? 3,100. So we produce 3 times as much bismuth as we do gold. So gold's trading at 1,800 an ounce. Bismuth should really be 600 an ounce. Now just imagine, this thing probably weighs about 10 ounces. Imagine this being worth like $6,000. So, for example, maybe 100 of these might buy you a house here in Phoenix. Actually, maybe not that many, right? I've already poured like 20 of these, right? And plus other stuff as well, right? Just try to imagine that in your head, right? And and then to realize that it costs like $8 worth of bismuth to make this, right? Uh, I just wish I had a way to melt bismuth without most of it oxidizing and then needing the furnace to react it again. I got to show you guys the furnace of sometime. I wasn't sure if I had the process right the first time I did it, but I got most of my bismuth back from the slag. You have to mix it with ground up charcoal and heat it up in a furnace to 850 Celsius. Uh, Anyway, why don't we do some fortune telling? Where's my cards? Come on, where are my cards? Well, I got a 9-hole golf here. I guess we could start with these guys. Let's shuffle them up. All right. Ready? A mulligan. Mulligan. That's a bad way to start. -2. Well, maybe that's a good sign that I'm giving up things to atone for sin. 6, my favorite number. Stay 6 feet away from me. You know, I love working remotely, and I sometimes have difficulty with people. 6 is a lucky number for me. 8 means to make a fortune. Oh, I know. In Chinese, 8 sounds like fortune, so it means that you got prosperity coming up. So people are going to stay away from me, and while I'm hunkered up, I'm going to make a fortune, right? -5. You know, 5's an unlucky number for me. It means to procrastinate. When I was a kid, I would have trouble waking up to go to school. My mom would come wake me up, and I would ask for 5 more minutes. And in Chinese, the number 5 is pronounced "ooh." So my mom would say, "Come on, wake up. We got to go to school." And I would say, "ooh." And my brother, he was 1 or 2 years old when I really started having trouble waking up. And he didn't know what "ooh" meant. He thought it meant to procrastinate. So we would tell him to do stuff, time for dinner, time for bed. He was maybe doing various. We're gonna go, and he was crying, and he would say "ooh," and in his mind, "ooh" meant to procrastinate. That was the first word he ever learned. Now, then one day I was playing a video game, and the game had ended, and there was a screen asking if you want to continue, and it counts down from 10. And on the screen, it went 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when the 5 came up on the screen, I pointed to him and I told him that's what "ooh" actually meant. And but he thought the game was named "ooh." He would say, it would be after dinner, and he wanted to play a video game, and he would say "ooh." He would point to the television screen and say "ooh, ooh, ooh." So he had a hard time understanding what "ooh" actually meant. It took him a while until he finally understood what it meant. And so in my mind, "ooh" means to procrastinate. So it's a kind of unlucky number. Now, earlier today, I was I was tutoring a kid on math, and he got an interesting number, and I told him what it meant, and it was I don't know what was the number. It was 968. 968 was the answer, and I told him that's a very lucky number. He knows about my Chinese number theory. He asked me, why is it so lucky? I said, well, 9 means an emergency, like 911, right? 9 means an emergency. 6 means to stay away from other people, social distance from other people. And 8 means to get rich. And I said, that's kind of how my life turned out these last 3 years. My life was a 968. And we both had a laugh about that. And so 968 is a very lucky number. It really described my life over the last 3 years. Oh, come on. Somebody's impersonating me again. Okay. How do I kick this guy out? Come on. Report. Okay. So I love it when combinations of numbers tell a story. Oh, come on. Somebody is. Okay, got to report this guy as well. So another lucky number for me, besides the 6, is a 3. And the reason 3 is so lucky for me is because as a solo sexual, I often get disowned by people who are in relationships. So 3 in my mind means to be a solo sexual who is accepted by a couple and to be able to associate with them. Now, earlier, just before I moved to Phoenix, I was in a rodeo show in Ellensburg, and something upset me greatly. I was at the carnival rides, and one of the carnival rides required 2 riders to get on. Now, carnival ride not being able to get on, that's not the end of the world. Had I not been able to ride for any other reason, I'd hardly miss a beat, right? Maybe I wasn't tall enough, or maybe I was too tall. Maybe I weighed too much, or any number of reasons I couldn't ride. But the fact that I couldn't ride because I was alone really hurt me, because that reminded me of how a lot of our society operates, right? Now, I really missed my opportunity. Now, looking back at it, what I should have done was got on the ride, sat down anyway, and explained my stance on being solo sexual and how I feel about it, and sit down and wait for them to do something about it, whether they start the ride anyway, or they find somebody to ride with me, or they arrest me even, right? I wasn't gutsy enough to do that. I should have. I was just tutoring a kid on what Rosa Parks did, and it hit me. Oh my God, I missed my opportunity, and I had tears in my eyes. And the kid asked me what happened, and I explained my situation. And to my surprise, he's 16 years old, and he understood my perspective. So people here in Phoenix are very understanding of that. And he said, well, there's always next year. You can always go back to that carnival, but it won't come so naturally anymore, right? Now that I had a year to plan it, I probably won't do it as beautifully as I could have last month, right? Anyway, somebody Uh, is okay. I'm gonna have to report all this. Remove. Remove. But it wasn't my grandmother. But one time I had gone about 2 months of no fap, and there was a girl that I liked, and I finally got to hug her. And when I did, I had an accident, and I didn't count that as relapsing though, because that was more like an encounter with somebody else. But it was kind of embarrassing, and I had to pull myself out of the situation. So depending on how you count it, I probably I went either 2 or 3 months, right? Um, anyway, anybody want to call me? It'd be nice to have a guest on the YouTube channel. I could do another fortune telling. I got other fortune telling to show. Give me a second. Where is it? I could roll some dice. Dice. Oh, here it is. Okay, we're a typical six-sided dial, though might be hard to show on the camera. I rolled a 1. Single lives matter. Let's roll it again. I roll a 1. So I just ordered a bunch of like damaged silver coins that I can melt in my furnace, and I hope to make a pyramid like this out of 90% silver. What else should... Donald Trump, right? I mean, soon this note will be worth like more than 1,000 real dollars because of how much our currency is losing value. Well, it turns out because I talked about nuclear reactors and turning bismuth into polonium, it looks like the ghost of Mary Curry is kind of impressed by my ideas, and she sent me some money to work on it. But unfortunately, it's lost all its value. This can only buy 4 new Polish zloty worth like less than $1. Not even enough to get some bismuth to start with to make polonium, let alone set up the neutron gun, right? So here's a $2 bill, and despite all the lessons we were supposed to learn that day, it's been less than 250 years. Oh, we're gonna celebrate that 250th anniversary soon. We seem to have forgotten it all, right? Anyway, that's too bad. This is the camera I usually use for my videos. I gotta see if I can do live stream with this. The webcam is kind of not nearly as high quality, right? So I got scammed. So a couple years ago, I bought some certified 2020 Silver Eagles because I thought 2020, it's a pandemic year, and they were in such a hurry to mint them that apparently a lot of leftover grease was on the coin, and in just 2 years, it's like completely discolored. Oh well, that's a sign of the pandemic, and maybe it'll even be worth a lot more because of that, right? So, fortune telling? Oh, social distance. Procrastinate. Oh, after we start social distancing, we keep procrastinating the reopening, right? And single lives will matter. And get rich. And die, right? 0, right? What else? And now the single guy gets accepted by a couple. And negative procrastinate. Go backwards in time, right? Time traveling. Maybe invent nuclear energy to do time traveling, right? Single lives matter. Get rich again. And social distance some more. Anyway, so last year, as we were nearing the end of Yom Kippur, I couldn't debate what I was going to do first. I really wanted to drink something, especially non-alcoholic beer, and I desperately wanted to masturbate, but I also wanted to clean up, take a shower, because I live in Phoenix. I was in Phoenix last year as well. And as the countdown kept getting closer, right, I was like, what am I going to do first? And I mentally jammed up. I hope I don't experience that this year again. It was kind of interesting. Oh, man. Ready? Social distance! And procrastinate the openings. -2. Oh, anti-marriage. Anti-marriage, right? -2. And die, right? What do we talk about next? Well, how about we sing some parody songs? So, how about some ABCDEFU? I'm thinking about some lines to write about the current fasting. Fuck food and sex and washing and leather shoes and living and dying and that shit you celebrate. A B C D E. Just get over the fast, right? All right, so more fortune telling. This time I'm going to wave my nuclear energy over it. I don't know. There might be a little. Well, there's bismuth is a little bit radioactive, and who knows? The sun was out. Maybe it put out a few neutrons earlier today. So wave the nuclear energy over the cards and see what it tells us this time. Single lives matter. 7. Procrastinate. Anti-marriage, right? A mulligan. Oh, a single being accepted by a couple. An emergency, right? 911, right? And this time anti-singles now, right? Procrastinate. Social distance. And this time for marriage now, right? See, we need to abolish marriage, right? We just have this big fight about abortion, but it's really marriage that we need to abolish, right? I mean, I'm not against people who find their partner in life, but it's not the public policy issue of marriage, right? It's their private lives that they need to find. What are we? Can you levitate? I wish, right? Uh, Come on. Okay, whoever's impersonating me, if you keep doing this, I won't be able to live stream, and you're really gonna ruin it for a lot of people. So please find some other way to interact with me. So last year, one of my students asked me if I could have any superpower, what would I like? Wasn't levitate. Now, at first, I didn't know what to say until I had another student. It was a teenage girl who said that, well, I wish I could eat whatever I want and not get fat. I later learned that she had gained a lot of weight at the beginning of quarantine, and then she had lost some of, not all of it, but some of it. And she now says that she wishes she could eat whatever she wants and not get fat. And I listened to that and I'm thinking to myself, I actually want the opposite of that. I wish I could stop eating and not lose weight and die. And the reason for that is, well, a lot of things would really simplify, right? So, for example, I had a number of clients today and back-to-back scheduling and not having to think about food. Actually, today I had to think about it because I needed to eat before going into Yom Kippur. But normal days, I don't have to think much about it. And it just makes the fluidity of the day go so much better. I don't have to interrupt myself, don't have to rush back after eating. And if I have to commute somewhere, right? So I just took a trip from Seattle to Phoenix. If I didn't have to eat, that trip could have been a whole lot better. Not having to think about where to stop for food, not having to find a toilet, right? I believe it or not, I hardly have. If I just have to urinate, right? Unless I have to poop, I hardly have to stop because I can just get one of my tea bottles, and after finishing the tea, I could, without even having to stop the car, unzip my pants, put the tea in the right position, and just go. And I've done that many times while driving. Actually, obviously, I can't do that if I have to poop, right? And so that's a big barrier when I drive long distance. Um, and I need to get a filter that turns the urine back into water, right? Oh my God, then I could eliminate a heck of a lot of stops, right? I won't have to get rid of the urine. I won't have to stop for beverages. Oh my God, that'd be perfect, right? That would be the perfect road trip for me. But see, it costs money. It takes up time, but not only does it take up time, but it punctuates time, right? And see, if you could eat once a month and just eat like 50,000 calories at one time, okay, I might be for it, but you can't even do that. So it not only takes up time, but it takes up punctuating time. That's the problem, right? It limits your mobility, right? If you want to travel somewhere where food might be tricky, right? Imagine you have dietary restrictions and you have language barriers. You want to go to Poland, and it puts a limit to your mobility, right? Let's put it that way. If you imagine you wanted to go to the moon and there's no food growing there, you get the idea, right? It puts a constraint. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love eating just like everybody else. I wish it were actually love and not a mandatory activity, right? Let's put it that way. Okay. So when that teenage girl was telling me the superpower I wish is to be able to eat what I want and not get fat, I was thinking to myself, oh God, that would just be such a barrier, right? Why would I want to do that? And it didn't make any sense to me. Anyway, and then I had a friend of mine one time, and he says that I asked him how badly he wanted to lose weight. He had made a resolution to lose weight one year. And he told me he was 50 pounds overweight. And he told me he would pay $5,000 to lose that 50 pounds. And I look at his everyday activities, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? You spend $5,000 just to maintain that weight with all your junk food, your cable subscription, it just doesn't make any sense at all. When I looked at him, he literally does spend money to keep that weight on his body, right? And now he's saying he wants to spend money to give it up. This is really contradictory what I hear some people say all the time. I wouldn't be surprised if it costs him $5,000 a year just to keep that weight on his body. I really wouldn't be surprised. You should save that $5,000 and buy some gym equipment and maybe do some fun stuff with it, right? I just can't fathom people's logics these days. Oh, come on! I need to delete some messages. Remove. Okay, you're really gonna ruin it for everybody if you keep impersonating me. But bismuth is now my favorite metal because I keep imagining if it were worth like a third of what gold is, right? Not to mention gold itself is quite undervalued too, right? Hey, I got an idea. We could call 1-800-BISMUTH to see if it's a bismuth dealer of some sort. Get the phone out. 1-800-BISMUTH. It's that. That's like the millionth time I've heard that. They wanted to do a survey. You could win a cruise. Like, who even wants to go on a cruise these days? Cruises are stupid. What else? How about anybody got any suggestions on what I can make out of my bismuth? I would welcome those too. I only cruise the SeaTac rest area. Come on. What is the one thing you want more than anything? Like, not just realistic, but just any world peace would be nice. I think the problem is that we have too much population. I would love to see people slow down their reproduction. In Unisum, I want population to shrink from 8 billion today to 4 billion over the next 50 to 60 years. And not from people dying in a pandemic, but from people just finding purpose in life rather than reproducing, right? But it would have to be a pact, right? Because everybody thinks that, I want population to shrink, but I want to be the one to reproduce, right? That's what everybody thinks, right? So some kind of world peace agreement that we only reproduce at this level, right? Maybe with a lottery of some sort, right? I don't know. Something else I might want. I want people to stop eating so much. Most people, we complain about being hungry. The reality is that most people have way too much to eat. And I want it not just because people are killing themselves, but I want people to stop eating and start living. I want people to make more prank phone calls. I want to answer a couple prank phone calls every day. I want prank calls to be so common that half of the calls that you receive on a given day are pranks. Because you never know. When you pick up the phone and it's a prankster, you never know if the person on the other end of the line is going to be your future business partner, your future life partner. You don't know. I want prank calls to be a common occurrence, right? I really do. And unfortunately, people, instead of picking up their phones, they're stuffing their faces, right? And that's the unfortunate thing, right? I don't know. I hope I answered some questions there. So what did I say? Population control, but not by people dying, but by voluntarily enjoying their lives. I want people to stop eating and start making more prank phone calls, and maybe write a couple computer games. I want to work remotely more, right? Or if I don't get to work remotely, work in my favorite city rather than a city that doesn't accept me for who I am, right? What else? I want to go on a fast every day. Uh, and not have to fend off questions. Fortunately, today everybody understood why I was fasting. Everybody even understood why I had to take a break to go eat right before the fast began. That was real nice. For once, I got accepted, right? But every other day when I try to fast, people think, it's no big deal. They push food on me, right? That's the funny part, right? Uh, did I? Were those worthy wants that I have? By the way, if you could answer that. Oh, I almost forgot. I want to be the Hunt brother of bismuth, right? Someday you'll read on the news that, this guy tried to buy the world supply of bismuth, and whether or not I was successful, right? Come on. Those are good answers. Okay. Let's make another prank call. Who do I call? Oh, I know. We could call. See, right now it's 10 p.m. Phoenix time, so it's 1 in the afternoon in Taiwan. I want to dial like all fours or something. Let's see. Let's do the Taiwan area code 011886222, and then 4444444, because that's death in Taiwan. Come on. What do you dream about? Well, a couple nights ago, I dreamt. Well, I've been dreaming that I get really rich off of silver going to like some five-figure number. At one time, this was back in February actually, when the Ukraine war had just broken out, and I dreamt that I had met a Ukrainian refugee. We hit it big, and I was planning to move to Ukraine, and silver had just gone to $60,000 an ounce. In the dream, I was watching the Peter Shit show, and Peter was explaining about basically, I told you so. And he was talking about how silver was $60,000 an ounce. And I was packing all my silver. I was thinking, how much silver should I bring? Because it was heavy. And I ended up packing like, well, I took some of my silver and I made it into weird art so that nobody at airport security would realize that was my life savings. And then I realized, hey, I want to keep one of my 1,000-ounce silver bars because as a keepsake. And I was thinking about how to move it there. I was listening to the Peter Shit show as I was packing, and that's when I woke up. And when I woke up, my first thought wasn't, oh, that's unfortunate, it wasn't real. My first thought was, let's go make it real, because most of my dreams end up happening. And I think it's going to happen. It wasn't silver. I was mistaken. It was bismuth that I was after. And let's go make it happen. Actually, it's the bad dreams that I wake up from, and I get very scared because oftentimes I dream things that later happen. I've had bad dreams that later materialize. So I dreamed about how I had relapsed on NoFap, and it happened. I dreamed about breaking up with my girlfriend, and it happened. I dreamed about there being a pandemic, and it happened. It's all the bad dreams that scare me because they always happen. I had dreamt, this was in 2019. I was at a conference in Macau, and one night I had dreamt that I was at another conference and my ex-girlfriend was there. And in the dream, my ex-girlfriend was married. And I was talking to her and her husband, and we walked toward the elevator, and I hold the door for the two of them. And my ex-girlfriend looks at her husband and says, "Oh, don't get into the elevator with this guy. He has a disease, so we got to stay far away from him." And I was shaking. I woke up, and this was July of 2019. And then 6 months after that, everybody was avoiding getting into the elevator with everybody else over a disease. And so that's why bad dreams scare me a heck of a lot more than good ones, because most of my dreams end up happening. All of them actually eventually happen. And scary when I think about it. I dreamt that there was another pandemic, and I dreamt that I had gotten a girl pregnant. I've dreamt that I've gone to jail. I've dreamt that I was on death row, about to be executed. I've dreamt of all sorts of terrifying things. Let's put it. Some I don't want to say on here. And unfortunately, all of my dreams have come to pass, and that scares me. Some of them take longer than others, but all of them have come to pass, and it really scares me. And in my dream about silver hitting 60,000, it was so realistic. You could hear Peter Shit talking about it in his familiar voice. Do 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 do. The Peter Shit Show. Do 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 do. I want to talk to you about silver prices today, and it was it was a vivid dream. It really was, and. I call it the Peter Shit Show. It's really the Peter Schiff Show, but in my mind, it's the Peter Shit Show. Let's dial 1-800. I don't know. Buy gold, maybe BUYGOLD. That probably is a gold dealer. I don't know.
The new location you want to use is identified by its telephone number. Key in the 10-digit telephone number starting with the area code
now. That's not it. Maybe sell gold? 1-800-SELLGOL.
Welcome to America's hottest talk line.
Come on. How many numbers did they buy? 1-800. Yom Kippur. Y-O. I wonder if it's a prayer line or something. Come on. 1-800-fasting.
Thank you for calling Maroney Harley Davidson and Maroney Motorsports. We are currently closed. Our hours of operation are Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m.
1-800. Bitcoin. BITCOIN.
No support agents are currently available to take your call. Please leave your name, email, and phone number, and we will get back to you shortly.
Hi, my name is Andrew. I'm calling to sell some Bitcoin. I just found an old hard drive, and I don't know how much they're worth, but it looks like there's like 30,000 Bitcoin on it, and I'd like to know how much they're worth and how to sell them to you guys. If you would you please give me a call back? The number is 206-472-8821. Would really appreciate it. I know there are people who are crazy about it. I hate to let it go to waste. All right, talk to you later. All right. 1-800. 1-800. Come on, I can't think of anything to call. Anybody have a suggestion for the number to call next? We could dial. Let's do a Japanese area code this time and dial 444s. Let's see. What is the Japanese country code? It's 81. And what's a typical phone number in Japan look like? Okay, 080 and then 8 digits. Okay. So I got 011 81 080 44444444. Yeah, this guy has to be the unluckiest person in the world. Oh, we should pull up Google Translate to
電話番号ではお知らせできません。番号はお確かめなのでおかけ直してください。We're sorry, your call cannot be completed at dial. Please check the number and dial.
Oh, I gotta find out how to get that number for myself, so I can call people and say I'm from death and give them fortune tellings or something. What about how about a Chinese phone number? China country code is 86. Okay, so their phone numbers look like 86 139. Let's do 44444444. It's a wrong number. I need to get those two numbers for myself. Then I can start calling people and tell them that I'm from their afterlife. You know, this is after death. What was the other cryptocurrency? Ethereum, right? We could dial 1-800 Ethereum. Right now it's worth how much? 1351. Wow, it was up to 5,000 something. Let's see. 1-800 ETHERIU. Okay. Hang on on me. How about Dogecoin? It's spelled BOGECOIN. Okay, let's call 1-800-DOGECOI. Okay, that's a wrong number. Was there I thought there was a Litecoin, right? Litecoin. $54 right now. Let's dial 1-800-LITECOI.
Welcome to America's hottest talk line.
Ah, come on. So somebody just sent me a text. What was it? 1-800-274-9839.
Thank you for calling Hover Round.
Oh, come on. That's not very useful. 1-800 1-800 let's see if the Bitcoin people pick up this time. 1-800-BIT BITCOIN.
Agents are currently available to take your call. Please leave your name, email, and phone number.
What city did Bitcoin originate? Maybe you need their local. It started in Temple City, California. What is their area code? Their area code is... Where is Temple City anyway? 626. So we got to do 626 BITCOIN. There we go.
I'm sorry, that extension cannot be reached at this time. If you want to reach someone else and know their extension, you may dial it now. For assistance, press 0. Just a moment. I'm sorry, the system operator cannot be reached at this time. Transferring to a backup operator. I'm sorry, the backup operator cannot be reached at this time. If you want to reach someone else and know their extension, you may dial it now.
Can I leave a message?
Just a moment. I'm sorry, the system operator cannot be reached at this time.
That didn't work. How about... One 800 Joe Biden, maybe? JOEBITE. There.
Thank you for calling LifeWorks. For the service from conflict and PLA on to continue in English, please press 2.
All right. Any suggestions on what else I can talk about? I'm getting kind of tired. Well, I'll record another video in the morning to update you guys on fasting. But that was nice to distract myself from the fasting to atone for some sin. I'll keep you guys updated if the Bitcoin people call me back, and I'll think about what joke I should tell them next if they really do believe me. All right, thanks for watching.